multiple singularity, Olga Palchevskaya, 2025. This concept seems at first glance to be a meaningless phrase, but if we imagine a singularity as a tiny sphere composed of multiple polygons, then the shape of this sphere would be determined by the number of polygons. A greater number creates a rounder sphere, so the perspective from this single polygonal plane would provide a more accurate description of its surrounding environment. Facet eyes, where each cell sees the world from its own angle, yet together they create a holistic perception. The Absolute gazes at itself through billions of consciousnesses, like a bee through its tiny eyes, or it might resemble a shiny disco ball, where each facet reflects the world from its unique perspective, and by letting light pass through, it reflects it with a new hue. Gironok would say this is a hallucinosis, a field where being and thought merge, but I think about how each human gaze with consciousness is unique yet simultaneously connected to the whole. What is this for? For studying the cosmos, for example. The world looks through us at itself from within and sees the stars. A greater number of perspectives from different angles provides a more accurate description of it. In any profession, increasing the number of people working in it leads to a greater number of talented specialists capable of sharpening their personal perspective beyond others. Suppose theater educated people, but there were too few theaters. Then cinema emerges, allowing more people to see images that convey emotions, leading people to catharsis and rethinking. And in the opposite direction, newspaper propaganda wasn't enough to motivate people to go and die in wars for the ruling elite. So the elite begins to fund the film industry to create subconscious propaganda of the ideas they need about false values, and the world drowns in crime and the fires of wars. I'm intrigued by this idea of the mental geometry of singularity as a tiny sphere with multiple polygons. But if each fragment of this polygon is its own perspective on the world, what then is morality in the context of such a geometry of the world's quintessence? If we consider superposition as a connecting network of relationships, it's possible that there could be two moralities. One, natural law, stems from the harmonious system of particle interactions. It permeates everything, being part of the unified and indivisible world of quantum relationships in the microcosm, where particles can exist in all states simultaneously, and where the choice of conscience is the collapse of the wave function. The second morality, conventional morality, consists of the rules of relationships in our hallucinosis, where a person as an object exists according to the physical laws of the macrocosm, yet still with an invisible subconscious reliance on that first morality. It's interesting how this works out. What instrument can convey the directions of the compass of the first morality? There's no language for communicating with the microcosm, so we're left with impulses that the human body can theoretically sense as rushes of blood to the cheeks, the heart sinking to the heels, or cats scratching at the soul, and thoughts swirling in the head. In general, it's all at the level of electrochemical processes that sustain the human body, where conscience is electrodynamics resonating with the microcosm. I heard Gironok say at a lecture on consciousness that consciousness is always moral. And then this morality is part of quantum harmony, but in the macrocosm, it fragments into rules, and we always face a choice to act according to the local, human made rules of imperfect morality, or to act by conscience in harmony with the morality that underlies all existence. Thus, free will is always a choice between the inherent harmony of the microcosm and the chaos of the macrocosm, which through tragedies and the purification of catharsis tunes souls to the right key. Is it really that simple? Though simplicity is the law of singularity, Just as a bee flies the shortest path, so the quantum of the tiny sphere singularizes in the heart, flushes the cheeks, and fills the entire soul with love for humanity, for truth, for the absolute. We should live like bees, harmoniously, dancing for each other, generously sharing everything. Or perhaps the bee swarm isn't ideal either, for the swarm is also a strict hierarchy where individuality dissolves for the sake of the hive, utilitarianism. I remembered how joyfully the little bees dance in front of each other, sharing and not taking away food from each other. Still, the beehive teaches love, but not utilitarianism, where multiplicity dissolves individuality. True singularity is the dance of the multitude, synchronized by musical harmony, conjugation in creativity and love, and not submission. Immoral people, it seems, are firmly entrenched in the camp of conventional morality, the one created in the macrocosm, where rules are written by people, not the cosmos. This is the morality of agreements, power, control, where everything is subject to social games, the interests of elites, and the propaganda of values to manipulate the masses. They are not those who look at the world through the facet eyes of a bee catching quantum harmony, but those who think money and power are reality, not their sick hallucinations.